Hello all, welcome to another endgame study of the Solving Other Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. Here we have another one from the very famous chess composer Leonid Kubbel. It's White to play and to win. As always, I suggest you watch the guide if you haven't, so you are better prepared for the practice. Then the 10-minute countdown will start and I catch you up with the beginning of the guided solution. And let's go for the solution. Okay, we see immediately over here that, okay, more or less the material is balanced. We have a bishop for 5 pawns, so we also need to be very careful not to fall into a defeat, not just a draw. And if we want to win, of course, we need to go with forced moves. And the best starting is to go with the queen a7 exclamation mark. This is the correct move to start the solution. But before that, let's see what happens if we go with the other forced move to go with the bishop. Of course, now the king only has one square, needs to go to d7. And of course, we need to go with forcing check, so we need to go probably with queen d8. This is also a very interesting line. We are going to check. The king tries to move away for one side. Of course, black can either way in several ways, so we check it again. Now let's say it comes next to the pawns, and then we check it again. Now it goes to c4. White plays king c2, which is a very good move. And now this is a moment for you to try to find what is the only move from black to keep the draw from this position. We already know that going with the bishop to a5 is not a solution, but we reach this position, and if you are not precise with the defense, you are also going to lose. So it's another minute, pause if you need more. It's black to play and to draw in this position. And you need to find the only move, which is to go with the queen g7. So these studies are also very, very pedagogic because they teach us how to use our pieces. And of course, using the queen in a proper way, it's very hard because the board is so open. There is many, many space, and we need to see that, okay, this is the only good way because not only controls the big diagonal, the A1, H8 diagonal, as it also uses the open file. So we are trying to use the piece at its maximum effect, of course. Why? Let's see, for example, well, okay, let's go with another move that, okay, places the queen on the long diagonal, but over here we are not going to save the day as black because white just checks our king. Notice that our king now is very restricted, and white just brings the bishop to c3, so attacking the queen in winning one tempo, and of course threatening checkmate in one. So if the queen moves, it's going to be checkmate in one. That's why we need to always to find the best places for our pieces. Of course, over here, we also can see that if we play moves like, for example, b4, well, the queen just comes to the game, and notice that it's not easy. If the king goes to b5, then I check it, and then checkmate. So the king needs to go up, so to c5. But now I approach my king with white, and then there is not much difference. If you go trying to open up the position, it's just going to be checkmate. And other moves, like for example going to the side, we already saw the maneuver. We just check it and then checkmate. So we need to be very careful over these positions when we are playing both sides. Now it's of course black that it's trying to either way. Of course, going with a simple move, let's say h4, well, white just set up another mating threat, and now whatever black does, let's say it advances the pawn, it's just going to be mating 2, and there are no defense over here. So if you want to go for a draw from here, you need also to find this kind of moves. Okay, let's go to the beginning. We already saw this is not the move from white, so let's go to the main line, which is to go with the queen a7. Of course, over here, if the king comes to c8, this is just going to be falling to set up another threatening mate. Notice that we are threatening mate in one. The king can't move away for anywhere. And of course, the only way possible to delay it is to sacrifice the queen, which would not delay for too long. So any move, let's say any random move, let's say we move a pawn, it's just going to be checkmate in one. So the king, after the check, needs to go to d8. So now it's white to play. What is the correct continuation for white from here? And let's see what is the correct continuation. And it's not to go with checking the king. The king here just hides away. It goes escaping e8. Then what else can we do? And after one or two moves, it says that are going to be needing to be very careful. Otherwise, we may lost this one. It's still a draw, but we may lost this one. Black is already organizing pieces, and soon it will come to with the pounds to advancing, and so we are going to get in trouble if we are not paying attention. So this is not the move, and correct move is to restrict the king but using the queen. So we go with the queen f7. This is the correct way. Of course, now the threat is very simple. We are threatening to check and then checkmate in one. So black plays b4, of course. So another minute for you. It's again white to play. What is the correct continuation? And the correct continuation is not, of course, to go and grab the b4 pawn to reinstate the threat of mate. Why? Because this allows black to only one move, but it's enough, and it is to also activate the queen to g5. And with this move, not only controlling the checking square from the bishop, as to start the attack on the other side. If black just wants to play for a draw, of course, this is the only way. So we need to go, but with the catching the different pawn, the f4 pawn. So we not do that only by grabbing the pawn, but also attacking the queen. So the queen only has one escape square. Suddenly we see, okay, the queen has not many options. Our bishop is protected by the queen, of course. So the only forced move from black is to go with the queen AH. So, final moment for us, another minute, pause if you need for more. And how can now white finish this one until the end? And let's go to finish this one. So as we saw, the queen is already very restricted. So we use this new maneuver. It's using the check with the bishop g5, and now the king is forced to go to c8. And next we attack the queen again. Notice how we just two of our pieces are cornering the enemy queen. And so the queen goes to h6. Of course, now we need to be a bit more clever. So we need to find another check on g8 by the queen, so forcing the king to come up. If it goes to c7, this is just easy. Notice that the queen now has no squares to go, so we are just going to grab the queen, and after that we are just grabbing all the black pawns and checkmate the enemy king. But of course the king tries and comes to d7 with the idea of if we attack the queen, now the queen has support on the e6 square, so black is happy, the queen is safe. Of course, there is another now threat from white, which is checkmate in one. And so instead of grabbing the queen, we grab the king and the game. Hope you have enjoyed this one. Of course, on the beginning, we saw the position not that easy to go this deep, but step by step, we are able to see how can white go for a win from here. Hope you have enjoyed as always. I see you in future videos. Bye bye and keep checking.